get crushed. Probably.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Living Our American Dream. My name's Matt. Welcome to the channel. By now you can tell that I'm doing something on my trail with this pile of extra, I guess, spoils from our sawmilling exploits from, I guess, several months ago and last year. So all of these rounds, Megan, if you point the camera down here a little bit, all of these rounds here are the leftover pieces from cutting lumber out of these trees. But I saved this big pile of all these things, and I had it up off the ground so it wouldn't rot. And what we're doing is I'm going to put a layer of these rounds on the ground like you've seen in the video, and it's almost going to look like a boardwalk, like a live edge boardwalk. But on top of that, I'm going to take the big sand pile that I dug up out of the woods, and I'm going to put sand on top of all of that and smooth it all out and let that sand fill in all the crevices and the creases, and put probably a good 4 or 5 inches of sand on top that I can level all out for a really nice trail. And then if I've got enough mulch, I want to take mulch and put it on top of the sand. And yes, I know some of you guys out there are going, hey fella, you know, that's all gonna rot and that's not gonna stay there and all that. Yeah, I know, you're right. But when this stuff rots away, it's gonna turn into soil, and I'm gonna have a built-up trail in the end. You know, 5-10 years from now, when all these are completely rotted away, I'm gonna have a built-up soil right there. Even the mulch will rot away. We'll have years and years of leaves falling on top of this, but the intention is to raise my trail by about 12 inches. Let's take a look at the boardwalk. We made it this far, which is a little bit less than I thought we would make it, but it's plenty far for what we needed. The wet part of the trail is actually around that curve and around the next curve. I just laid all this stuff in here loosely right now, as you can see. It's not attached in any way. It's just forming a base for my sand. And like I said earlier, if I have enough mulch, I got a big mulch pile up front. If I have enough mulch, I'll probably put a coating of mulch on top of this too, just because it'll make it look real nice. You can see I used up my entire sand pile over here. And I even dug down into the hole. I was driving the tractor down into the hole for a little while and pulling the last few bucketfuls. You can see, I don't know how well, there's some deer right there. They were bedded down here. I don't know if they were bedded down here while I was working or not. Anyhow, you can see that this is considerably deeper than this right here. This is the level that I had dug it with the excavator. And of course I went a little deeper with the tractor. Let's walk down the trail and check this out so you guys can understand what my intention was. Now, I've built a couple of trails like this. This is by no means a road, right? For a road, you would want to dig out, or a driveway, you would want to dig out all of your organic material, put a nice base down, finish it with something, which is what I do in my driveway. But I have built trails across my fields and out in the woods this way. The wood chip trail, the mulch trail that's through my field, I actually took a bunch of cottonwood trees and laid them down in the trail and put mulch on top of them and to build that up, knowing fully well that it'll eventually rot away and I'll be left with just the material there. This trail is very similar, except I used the saw rounds, which you saw, and as you can see, this sand, it's a mixture of sand and a little bit of that top organic material, but mostly sand. I was able to put down on this trail, and I'll put the camera down low here in a minute to give you guys a real good idea of how much material is here. But I'm walking on the wettest areas of this trail, and I believe with the base of wood, the sand top, and eventually if I can get some mulch back here, I think this will be a nice dry part of the trail. Now here you can see it drops off a little bit, but this section of the trail was never sits wet. So from here back to where I have the mulch at, which is over there by those logs, from here to there doesn't actually sit wet, so I'm not too worried about that. I probably will put some mulch on here just so it looks real nice. Let's go back here and take a peek at how much material I actually have in here. This would be a good shot here. If you can look down to the right, you see one of my log rounds right there. On top of that one, there's probably 8 inches of material right here. And that's probably on the high end. Most places, I think I've got around 3 to 4 inches on top. So now that I've driven over this a whole bunch of times, it's very packed actually, with the exception of the sides. Here's another spot where you can see just how much material I've got here. This is probably a good 14 inches above where that wet area, and you can tell that it was wet because the leaves are turned black from the springtime. So I'm well above the wet area here. So that's the plan. It worked out really well. For the rest of my day here, after I close out this video with you guys, I'm gonna come back over here and see if I can do a little bit of leveling out in front of the cabin here. Just kind of make everything a little more smooth. I'll probably take some time and pick up some of these tree roots and just tidy everything up real nice. All right, so there you have it. That's gonna do it for this video. I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any comments or any feedback on the way that I built this trail, feel free to leave them in the comments section. I do read every comment that's posted on this channel, and I'll respond accordingly. So I appreciate you sticking around, and we'll see you on the next video.